Hello everyone, we'll be starting in a moment. I'm getting everything set up, so please bear with me. Okay, that's all done. Everything seems to be okay. I think we are good to go. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another stream of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Resolve. We are about to start the 5th episode of the game, which is a continuation of the 4th episode. We are currently doing the trial for the Reaper. We're trying to find out if we can stop him from getting executed for the murder of Gregson. We still do not know who the actual killer is, but we have found out some information. Spoilers, obviously. We found out that Wilson was actually Mikotoba, and he was actually the partner of Sholmes, and they're now going on their own adventure. And we are about to go back into the trial for the Reaper. I don't know if we're going to have any more witnesses. We might do, but we definitely do have more evidence. And whether they're going to have a jury or not, probably not. I'm going to miss the jury. They were fun. Yeah. We also got attacked by a dog. It licked us to death. And then we had to go get stitches or a Band-Aid, which was fun. But hopefully we will not be doing a 3 or 4 hour stream this time. Last time it went on way too long. It was like 10 p.m. by the time I was able to have dinner, and that was quite late. So hopefully we won't be able to do that again today. But we shall find out. Other than that, I think that's everything. Just to let you guys know, Twitch has made some changes again. I received an email last night. Well, early this morning when I was still on my computer, that they are instituting a 100-hour limit on highlights. So if you're watching from Twitch and you're looking for my past videos that I put in there as highlights or collections, you may see that a large majority of them are gone. That's because I had to delete them all because I was 10 times over the limit, if not more. I was like 1,517 hours saved. So I had to delete them all because I could not make any more highlights. So now we're only down to the 2 most recent, which is Great Ace Attorney and Death Stranding. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, unfortunately. But luckily, we have them all on YouTube anyway. I've been using YouTube for streaming as well. So everything that I stream on YouTube is on YouTube and everything. So it doesn't matter. I don't need to port them over because they're already here. It's just, it's a shame because it was like a second place you could have it to have it stored, but I understand why they made that decision. It's depressing, but it is what it is. Regardless, without further ado, let us get into the game. Capocomu. That sounds like sounds been picked up on there. Refresh restream. Yeah. I've only just noticed this, but these like candelabras look very flat. Alright, everything seems to be fine. Cool, let's go. Continue. The Resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, Trial Part 1. I'm wondering how many people might show up today, because last time we had like 16 people. Oh, this is different. Final chapter. The Resolve of Ryunosuke, I think it says. Yeah, it's all squiggly. No intro? Because it's a continuation? Yeah, figured. The 3rd of November, 9:14 a.m. Well, that's different. The Old Bailey Defense Antechamber. Why is the song suddenly different? I'm not complaining, it's just out of nowhere. I'm just doing something because I forgot to do that. I'm also adding in like tags to my unknown era. What do you mean unknown era? There you go. I'm adding in like tags to my Twitch so then they're possibly easier to find. You know, because I want there to be more stuff on there as well. Right. I like the music though. I like the change. It's nice. So the time's finally come. Today, we unravel everything. I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Mr. Zato. Mr. Zato? Why are you throwing me? Oh no, what's the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Nothing. I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but I shan't let you down. Throws me, doesn't explain. Would you mind helping me to my feet, then? Oh dear, I'm really very sorry. Susanoo-san isn't her usual self at all. But that's hardly surprising, I suppose. She's just found out that her father is the partner of the world-famous detective, not to mention... good morning, sir. Reaper! Lord Van Zeeks. I'm in for surprises? Oh boy, more! Thank you for your efforts today. What? Did I hear that correctly? What? Oh, no, nothing. Just, I hope we can clear things up today. I really can't make this man out. His face says I hate you, but his words are almost jovial today. Hey, Baloroth. In fact, he hasn't been very Reaper-like at all since this all began yesterday. Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Good point. The Reaper, I suppose in hindsight. I shouldn't have allowed this misconception to go unchallenged. I don't know why I'm making him sassy already. Huh? It was my tacit acceptance of the pseudonym. My failure to stop the Reaper becoming something more than a mere legend that led to this. But you're not to blame for that, Lord Van Zeeks. Your favorite trial and investigation are in this case. Oh boy. So I guess there is more investigation then. I didn't know if it was all going to be just a trial. It's only because serious crimes in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling you that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason. What do you mean? There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother. Now, having been slain by the evil killer, Clint's restless spirits returned as some sort of demigod. You know, my brother Clint. To wield a deadly blade of justice where I, by the dint of the law, could not. Yes, we've heard that story too. When I lost him, he became a picture. I felt as though I lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wondered if perhaps those rumors made me feel his absence a little less keenly. Even if I knew it was all an illusion. Just some nonsense conjured up by an over-imaginative remote public. He was obviously extremely important to you. Lord Clint Van Zeeks. Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know that you didn't take anyone's life. And I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt in this court today. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes, that burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity. Thank you. He's complimenting us! Ah! Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? Oh, hi. Oh, Iris! When did you get here? Oh. I bought you one of my special blends. It's filled with poison. Hurley loves it. He says it helps him to clear his head. I thank you. Oh. Hee. No, don't fall for the Reaper, Iris. No. You're only 10. That's surely the first and last time I'll ever see a sight like this. You seem different today, Iris. Oh? Sort of subdued, I suppose? I am not. What happened yesterday is obviously still playing on her mind a lot. She's clearly very troubled about having stolen that autopsy report from Dr. Scythe's laboratory. Alright then. Good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh, you're not staying? I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings. Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. But I've got lots to get ready. Get ready? For what? Oh, yes. Would you take this? It's a bunny dressed up like Sholmes. Isn't that one of the little felt dolls that usually dangling from your knapsack? Yes, it's a lucky charm. A little Hurley that I made once. A Hurley? It looks more like a Hairley to me. If for some reason you completely run out of options into trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. What? Pull his ears? That's right. It's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it. It's also a gas grenade. You think? What we'll need is luck? I just sneaked a peek inside the courtroom, and it seemed very different to normal. Yes, it would seem that a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out all night and he hadn't come home at 1 by the time I left this morning. Oh, I see. Was Professor Mikatober out all night too, do you think, Mrs. Addo? Yes, it would seem so. I telegrammed the hotel this morning. And apparently they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all. They? They're all killed! Father and Judge Gigoku, I mean. And Judge Gigoku turns out to be the murderer. Judge Gigoku too. That's right. Nobody appears to have seen either of them yesterday. Or since yesterday. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom. At once. Oh boy. I worked too hard. Good luck then, Bruno. Good luck, Susie. Yes, thanks, Iris. And you, Mr. Reaper. I hope it goes well. Once again, I thank you for delicious tea. It was very soothing. Oh, I'm so glad. We must go inside now, Lord Van Zeeks. Lord Van Zeeks has always been the formidable prosecutor I'd had to lock horns with in court. But not today. Today I'm battled with another in pursuit of the truth. My best friend Kazuma Osogi and I who I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now I understand what it was that drew me here to Britain all those months ago. It was the Reaper. And now I know exactly what destiny had in store for me. It's all been leading up to this one day, to this one trial, to this one final reckoning. By the way, I didn't get to see that image you were making, Balroth. I thought it was supposed to be sent to me, but I didn't get anything. Oh, what's wrong with my voice? 9:30 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. There's no one here. Where's the judge? It feels even more oppressive in here than it did yesterday. There are cold stares piercing me like knives from all sides today. Mr. Naruhodo, look. Oh, hi, Strongheart. Lord Strongheart? Cousin must have known beforehand. The ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. In fact, events have come to light that threaten to rock the very foundations of our country's legal system. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Raffatron. I didn't get anything. I don't know how you sent it. Did you send it as a comment or what? The escape of a condemned criminal on the night of his execution, the subsequent unlawful shooting of the man, and the revelation that prison staff must have been complicit in the jailbreak. Britain is currently hosting influential members of the judiciary from countries all around the world. It is imperative that we uncover the truth in these proceedings to avoid international embarrassment. He looks so big. Why is his chest like all puffed out like that when he's standing up there? By royal decree, this will continue to be a closed trial. He stands, and no one over which I, male Strongheart, exercise total and unequivocal authority. Oh boy. The six jurors' flames just... As was the case in yesterday's proceedings, those here present in the public gallery, our distinguished members of our judiciary, assembled to bear witness to a fair judicial process. In other words, the connection of your acolytes, Lord Strongheart. A disco ball comes down. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zeeks. You were a prosecutor of exceptional talent. Much like your brother Clint, in fact. My brother Clint? Whoa! In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. For the trial of Barak Van Zeeks, who officially stands accused of murder. Counsels for the prosecution and defense, are you in full readiness to proceed? The defense is ready, my lord. As is the prosecution. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. Yes, he was carrying out operations in secret, which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. And in those clandestine operations he had no accomplice. Mr. Daily Vigil, who would be given the inspector's identification and present himself around the capital in order to establish credible alibis for Gregson. In that way, Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work, when in fact he wasn't. At the end of yesterday's sessions, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. It would appear he buried his memories of the time deep inside himself as a means of self-preservation. Because whilst he was engaged as chief warder at Barclay Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. Mr. Vigil is currently recuperating at St. Sinners. He's recovering enough to give a signed statement about his movements on the day prior to the incident. He's formally admitted to posing as Gregson while investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to the crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed 1 day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject, my lord. Really? Go ahead, Prosecutor Asogi. I met once with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. She confirmed the defense suggestions could not be ruled out. It's entirely possible that Inspector Gregson was killed on the 31st of October, the day before his body was discovered. I have here an updated autopsy report that includes the amended details. He's updating the autopsy report mid-trial. It's happening again. But the official opinion of the investigation was made clear yesterday. That the time of death was 5 p.m. on the 1st of November. There were indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems that the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question. There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse. My lord, this is more than just conjecture. The evidence to support the idea, we must investigate it thoroughly. Very well. The court will accept the new report as evidence. However, if this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno incident. It would, yes, especially since on that day, Inspector Gregson was using Mr. Vigil to cover up his real movements. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding these activities? Scotland Yard had put an enormous effort into investigating that precise matter yesterday. I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. So the prosecution calls its first witness now. Oh, we do have witnesses. Okay. Oh, it's Gina. Hello. You linked it in the comment of last Greatest Attorney stream. You did to what? What? You mean the art piece? That's strange. I didn't get a notification for it. State your name and occupation for the court. Inspector Gina Lestrade reporting representative of Scotland Yard. A self-conferred rank, but never mind. Gina again? What's your problem, Otto? What's with that Gina again? Look, eh? That must mean the world to me. He's done more for me than anyone else ever did. Oh, Inspector Gregson, you mean? He got me out of the back slums of the East End and took me in under his wing. Taught me that life can have a purpose. So that's why I'm the best person to be standing here speaking for him. Oh, Gina. Right, all out of the goodness of Gregson's heart. Not at all that he had his arm twisted by Mr. Sholmes, no. What's relevant to this proceedings is that the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigation yesterday has revealed that the victim was carrying out some assignment the police knew nothing about. Very troubling. That face. Lord Strongheart knew. So, Inspector Lestrade, let's hear exactly what it says in that report. Coming right up, sir. The best character moment is in this part. Oh, cool. Victims' movements. All the art detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told to. But a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't on it yet. What matters most is there's witnesses who once saw the Reaper at the place too. Smuggled goods? I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book. Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines. Goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at the regular black market that take place in the capital. Hope you're ready to do some serious voice acting. Oh boy! but the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of the black markets? It's been suggested that high-ranking of government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of the investigation being leaked to the involved parties. That would explain why he was operating on his own authority without the Yard's knowledge. And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. And on the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter. That can't be. We haven't heard anything about any of this. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. The accused, Barak Van Zieks, was present. And that would be very significant testimony then. Oh my, but Lord Van Zieks had made no mention of this at all. In short, Lord Van Zieks has ample opportunity to murder the victim. Jeez, that's so loud. Very well then. Counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination. Victim's movements. Here we go.
Hold it!
So, you follow orders, do you, Gina? Nah, not me. I'm above all that, see? Oh. The boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips, or go and give Toby his grub, that kind of thing. I remember it being earlier. Oh, wait, it's talking about something else. So errands more than orders, then. This detective is still an apprentice, after all. Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigation into what happened. I didn't find much at first.
Hold it!
So you went through Inspector Gregson's things? Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation. I'm sure your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative. So I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Because if anyone at the yard had seen what had been going on in there, they'd have turfed at me straight off to the onto the street. This is sounding less and less like an investigation and more like something else. Well, the prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and the trustee's assistant, Chief Inspector Toby. We found it in one of the desk drawers that had a false bottom. That's impressive. So then I went and hid myself where no one could find me, so I had a butcher's at what was written in it. Because if anyone at the yard found me, they'd have had turfed me straight onto the street. I've given it in now, though, ain't I? And if it weren't for me, we would never have found it. Or it never would have been found.
Hold it!
Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place? Yep. It was all in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember. As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Yes, I remember, but I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in the future. Therefore, the prosecution has asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings. I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here. All I gotta do is read it out. And I could too. I've got this reading game buttoned up now. Can't I show you what I can do? Go on, what's the arm? The judge hasn't signaled his objection yet. I could try to find out. What should I do? Whatever. This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Kazuma? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. He is, though. I am the law. You cannot read it. Right then. I get to show off me reading skills. Apparently, the smuggled goods was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse.
Hold it!
The Grouse? What sort of club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing. But I am kind of curious. They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked into the mirror recently? I'll tell you what. Me and Chief Inspector Toby could go undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks, see what else I could find out while I was in there. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings are going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower ranking detectives at the Yard reckon. Says the even lower ranking detective. Gentlemen clubs aren't really a thing anymore, unfortunately. Oh my god. 1 second. I was really hoping that, because I have, well, I just had another person trying to sell viewers on Twitch. I have the auto mod enabled, but it doesn't do anything. It's annoying me. They need to put like actual sort of like .com or something in there, so it actually flags them or whatever. Do we have anything for this? Indeterminate evidence suggests measures have been taken to decide the time of death. Chosen path. Dunkirk. Clint's autopsy report. Oh, can I actually examine this? What a charming little rabbity version of Mr. Sholmes. Do you suppose this is how Iris sees him? Are you all right, Mr. Naruhodo? Your eyes are veritably boring into this poor doll's ears. Oh, sorry. I was just wondering. What do you suppose would happen if I were to tug its ears with all my might right now? I'm sure we'll find out when the time is right. To become a proper gentleman, you must really learn some stoic patience. But I want to know. Oh no, I said it like that. I want to know. I want to know now. His legs go into the abyss there. Let me get the patch here. Let's see if there's actually in this. You love the little mascots? Yeah. Did you see what Inspector Greg's identification looks inside? Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me, and the department identification number details all correct as well. There's no doubt that this really is Inspector Greg's identification. That's it? Nothing like, oh, it says that this was actually sanctioned inside the Gentleman's Club somehow. Have a look inside. This is just a paper saying that, you know, there's something inside. Ooh, let's see. It appears to be a passport authorizing him to travel to overseas. We've already listened to this. Have I seen the special credits with the characters as animal versions? No, I haven't. Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered. Wait. The day before his body was discovered. Does that mean that he was going to go to... He wouldn't have gone to this place then. Right? Let's just question about the other stuff before we do anything.
Hold it!
Yeah, I know. So now... So how did Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case? That's the question, ain't it? But I'm just an apprentice, so... And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings? Yeah, that's what I was asking myself. Because, you know, I'm just an apprentice. When it suits you, yes. Anyway, the point is, something went on in that club, no question. You can't say that for certain, though, surely.
Hold it!
Lord Van Zeeks was at the club? He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to a room in question as a guest. It looks like there's no disputing that he was there then. Well, we know that Lord Van Zeeks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the Inspector's secret book. Which led him to the club, you mean? Maybe. Presumably, then, there was also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there. And none have been identified at this time, no. So, the all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club. Oi, why aren't you asking Inspector Lestrade here, eh? So, that's all I've got to work with. Gina's not holding back with that ice-cold stare of hers, is she? I really don't know what to make of all of this. Lord Van Zeeks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zeeks could have been lying to us, do you? That's not the only way to explain this. Oh, if everything Lord Van Zeeks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in his testimony somewhere. You mean there are details we have yet to uncover? Exactly. A clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. That's what we should be looking for here. Smuggled goods deal was gonna happen at the gentleman's club called the Grouse. Spec condition. There's nothing about this that tells me anything about drugs. This just tells me about, you know, him coming from Japan. Some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse. Oh! Oh! Oh. Yokohama departure 11th of September, London arrival 1st November. That's the boat that Professor Migatomo and Judge Gigoku came on from Japan, isn't it? Yes, I think it's called a Dunkirk on the coast of France the night before finally arriving in Dover. To think it's been almost a year since we arrived in this Dover on SS Buria. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento on your trip, don't you think? You love it when I'm staring at the answer but don't realize it, and then you love it when I make a prediction but don't realize it's right. And I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. What could it have gone? Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo? Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? Okay, so we present this because this was actually on the grouse. I know I looked at it earlier. I was like, oh, it's just his signature. It doesn't matter. I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? He doesn't remember what he looks like, okay? He has amnesia. It has happened at least 3 times. I'm a lovable idiot? Yay! Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at the club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean, the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on the 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing very irreverent attitude towards your country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it. Here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This would appear to be a ticket for passage aboard a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket and notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on the 1st of November. His R's are not as like, he's more like, He does the SpongeBob meme. He's like, The day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st of October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission. That ship hadn't docked yet in Britain's shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection!
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. You don't have evidence. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claims that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. It would be the passport.
Take that!
What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim. Dated 31st of October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there was a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Order. Order. This document is a passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board, at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean you knew about this? The prosecution strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations, and the line the prosecution has been allowed us to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you're expertly disproven that assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Asogi? I am the prosecution lead. A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts, without exception. Let me guess. This was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. The Reaper? Order! Order! What on earth are you saying, counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. Actually, you know what? I should probably do this. Let me do this. It'll be very quick. I've got the filter. Might as well use it. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine. By the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So, you're saying the mission he was undertaking was obviously an assassination. I need to use my filters more. I just wish there was a button to just activate it, rather than me having to go to the filters every time. Barak van Zieks never carried out any actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast iron alibi. Hey, we've got 12 viewers. Welcome, 12 viewers. Hope you're enjoying. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that this was Inspector Gregson. What the hell you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that. And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense. Why'd you laugh like a goblin? I don't laugh like a goblin, that's so mean! No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. No, the true Reaper is somebody else. Barak Van Zieks is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went on board the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have more solid reasoning for doubting the assertion, do you, counsel? Even when they're going to be sad when the series ends? Yeah, this has been a fun series, but, you know, it's all got to end at some point. But I hope you all stick around regardless. Even when this is over, you come back and join in for other ones, because I will hopefully be playing, like, the other Ace Attorney games. Mostly investigations I want to try out, and maybe one of the other spin-offs, but I'm not sure. This all depends if it comes to Steam. Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Professor Nagatoba and Judge Gogoku was on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it, unless it was kept secret. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board that ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gina Lestrade. Eh? What? The victim's notebook that you've read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. You're lying. Even if all of them bludgers what got taken out had it coming. The boss weren't the Reaper. There's always Undertale and Deltarune, the latter of which is free. Undertale is free? Or Deltarune? I mean, I do want to play both at some point, but I don't think it will hit as much as what you're hoping. Because I've seen playthroughs of Undertale, so I've kind of spoiled myself on that. Oh, poor Gina. But there's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you've spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumours. I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it. Deltarune is free. Okay. I thought episode 2 was paid for, but I guess if it's all free, then cool. Then testify again as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss. I don't... I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Witness testimony. The Reaper's notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up in the past 10 years. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff. And the last entry in there was 31st of October. It said Grouse was the place on that date, and then the name of the mark. There was a note about him being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Keep personal opinions of your testimony, witness. Or keep personal opinions out of your testimony, witness. We will require only established facts here. Let me catch up on chat. Once I'm working again, I gladly fund Kakarot all the DLCs. Oh, that'd be great. I would appreciate that, but, obviously, take care of yourself as well, Rafatron. If it's too much, you don't have to. I would appreciate it, but, don't put yourself in any hard positions. We should be getting 2 more chapters soon. Yeah, for Deltarune, yeah, I heard that it's supposed to be having, more chapters. It's just the 3rd chapter has been taking forever, because the 2nd chapter came out in, 20... Was it 2020? 2021? Something like that? This must be so hard for her. You can't deny it now, surely, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What can't I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final mark and the location where the assassination would take place. 2021. Okay, so I was right. That's information the victim could only have known if he was working with the Reaper. So, who was to be the final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade, read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on 31st of October. Eh? Oh, how do you read this then? Reading's still not a strong suit. That ain't the problem, right, Otto? It's a funny name. It ain't English. It's hard to read. So it's someone from overseas. And let me have a bash at it. Seshishiro? Is it? yeah, Seishiro. Jigokyu? Maybe? What? It can't be. Seishiro Jigoku. But that's Judge Gigoku. Seishiro Jigoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right. Wow, okay. Hey, Matt. They were trying to kill the judge? What did the judge do? I mean, he was in there for, like, questioning, but he wasn't a part of a crime. He didn't do a crime.
Objection.
But that can't be right. I know Judge Gigoku, and I saw him the day before yesterday here in London. So I know for a fact that the man hasn't been assassinated. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and return to British shores. Actually, that wasn't Judge Gigoku, it's a clone. Or it's a guy dressed up as him. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake. So he killed the inspector. Personally. That makes no sense. My killer failed, so I'll kill him instead. And the Reaper, of course, being the accused, Barak Van Zeeks. It's an undeniable logical argument. Kazuma, you planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you? Where has he been? Well, apparently, from what I remember, Mikotoba said that he showed up but then immediately left in the morning again. So he didn't get to see him, and then the next day, you know, Mikotoba went off to do his own thing. So we don't know much what happens to him now. So what do people... Because people are still talking about, like, Deltarune in chat. What do people think is going to be the next chapter for that? Some people are saying it's going to be a TV world. Some people are saying it's going to be something else. Be interesting to know. Considering, you know, TV's kind of dying at the moment.
Hold it!
Who said that? It's the Reaper! He has the chalice! Yeah! Front view of this! Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice whilst I stand accused of murder. He just says that! Lord Van Zeeks! The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective. Eh? What? No, that's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector. Repeating rumors heard around the yard. Reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony, it's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you clearly planned. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper, who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. Is this going to be like a Star Trek, like the Next Generation thing, where they had that trial and the prosecutor just goes at it and is like, "You're the one that destroyed my father's legacy." Is he going to have that moment? That's going to be great if he does. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself. By attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. What did you say? Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance. My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. Very well, I will make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. I guess the Reaper really was the one who slayed. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately. He doesn't want to be toasted to because he knows this is wrong. Deep inside. At once, my lord. I just swallowed some water, and I swallowed a lot of air with it, so my throat hurts now. Ow. Ugh, sorry about that. Ow. The Reaper's Notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. Not you and all. This ain't the only explanation, isn't it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and that notebook said what he found. Ow. If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believed in the power to intimidate London's criminals classes to compliance. Was the law to be beneficial? But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Yes, and those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper. One arm? What are you on about? The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization. With you at its head? I had spies on the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check on the most recent entry in this book. I knew the location. You knew it said grouse? Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate alone. So that explains why several members of the club claimed to have seen you there. But of course, the inspector was not there. Because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Very well then, back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook. Fine. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago. Oh, no, it's all right. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? Strongheart would absolutely throw the first brick at Stonewall.
Hold it!
Names of victims, dates, places and stuff. What in particular? Well, besides the victims' names, there's other name kept cropping up. What other name was that? It's the one I told you yesterday. The same name, written over and over again. You mean... Assassin? Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, isn't she? Were you even listening yesterday? Assassin. The assassin. What? Like, a killer, you mean? Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. You had that MGS exclamation point as Kaz remark, yeah. It's like, huh? What was that noise? I'd like to think in this universe, Strongheart legalized same-sex marriage long before. Wow, okay. With the plan attack, yeah. I was trying to remember if I read it already. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable and to who to use to get them. But the person actually executing the plan was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. Then perhaps what it said on the passport document... Permission for the application and one additional person to travel? Could that additional person have been... clearly the assassin who was meant to take Seishiro Jigoku's life? Gina, can you confirm that? Against the final entry that listed Grouse and Seishiro Jigoku? What name was written? Oh, well... That's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it, as it happens. What? It just had like a question mark or something there, I think. In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case. But Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not? Oh, how infuriating. A nameless assassin. It was me! I'm the assassin! And you're saying that the mark listed was Seishiro Jigoku? That's what it said. Funny name, though, if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd. So pleased to have lost my crown there. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge, Japan's Supreme Court of Judiciary. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago. Studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart. That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. So Lord Strongheart was Judge Jigoku's mentor? I mean, it makes sense he was going to be a judge. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, after that fateful case. Precisely. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook. I didn't think it was possible, but the mood in here has got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking? There was a criminal. What got away from the Reaper?
Hold it!
What do you mean a criminal? Judge Jigoku is no criminal. Well, don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jigoku did once appear in court here in Britain. It was related to the Professor case, I'm sure. Yes, of course. You're right. Oh, I gotta put the echo on. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire for which he was charged. It was painful, yes. I'd forgotten about it, but I prosecuted that trial too as it happens. It was a pitiful situation. Okay. Yeah. You did? It was considered to be an adjunct to the professor's proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make reparations for the damage caused to the stand. And there you have it! Have what? Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. What? No! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Jigoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after the trial. The Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. I get the feeling that if the Reaper came and tried to kill Judge Jigoku, because he was able to destroy a stand with his bare hands, he'd just be able to punch the Reaper, and he would die, like, instantly. He does like a Mortal Kombat takedown thing where they break the skull, or the ribs. Come on, that's absurd. To take someone's life for that? Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd, killing those who have been found innocent? Clearly the rules by which the man operates are beyond any sane person's comprehension. But... Right, I'm just about out of this. Gina? All this nonsense about the boss is planning to kill people. It's cobblers. Come on, Otto. Yes? Why aren't you saying nothing? Why aren't you yelling out objection or summon it? What? You gotta find a flaw, you usually do. Somebody's lying here, no question. You gotta work out who it is. Please, for the boss. Jigoku may be stronger than Susanoo. I mean, I think so. I would assume so. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. Wow. I don't care about your feelings. I might have known that the common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. Wow! He's basically saying, go back to the slums where you belong, peasant. Hey, Snazzy, welcome. Great Ace Attorney, have fun with this. I'm having fun from the start. It's been a great experience, to be honest. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Miss Lestrade. Is that clear? I've had it with a lot of you. It lies every... I can't... It's too much. It's too fast. It lies every bleeding place you look in the world, innit? Well, I've had enough. Gina. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruhodo? There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was just said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, wrong voice. Oh, what do you mean? Breaking news, Strongheart continues to be a douchebag. I'm not going to let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. No, I will. I'll let them fall on deaf ears. I don't know. I don't want to help.
Hold it!
I want to thank you, Gina. You've helped me find my resolve. Eh? Oh, what do you mean? Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing that defies explanation. One inconsistency. It's okay, I have emotions too. Hey, I can't... Look, she's not like bawling her eyes out. She's upset, sure, but it's hard to do a voice while also trying to put emotion into the voice. Sometimes. What an inconsistency. Really, Otto? I don't quite know what it means yet, but... Yes, there's an inconsistency in something that was said by... Kazuma.
Take that!
Because he was the one that said it. By you, Kazuma Asogi. Me? Is this some attempt at filibustering, Counsel? Prosecutor Asogi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done. Very well then, Counsel, go ahead. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Prosecutor Asogi has said? I have to go back and look at what he said now, but I don't think it goes back far enough. Yeah, it doesn't go back far enough now. The question is, what was the comment that Kaz said that made Runo jump? Yeah, pretty much. I'm just trying to figure out what would present that and what exactly it was he said, because I can vaguely recall what he said. It was when he was talking about the passport found in Gregson's metal trunk, confirming he's on the grouse. I mean, I guess it would either be... It might be this, then.
Take that!
Yeah! This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson. A metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? A bloodstain, and a relatively fresh one, too. What? You mean that ain't grease from all the boss's fish and chips? Fresh blood on the inspector's trunk. That suggests that the victim was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk, hoping to sell it. But I found it, me. What, with my nose for trouble? Huh. Which means that nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma. Whoops. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma. Because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Trunk. So the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk? We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else would he have put his passport?
Objection.
But you knew it was a metal trunk. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On the 31st of October, where exactly were you? At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke? Kazuma, what did you... I hadn't considered the possibility before, but if Kazuma was there on the ship, then it can only have been for one purpose. Oh no, Mr. Naruhodo. Surely you don't think... Oh, come on, Ryunosuke, you know the rules. The only thing that really talks is the courtroom, is hard evidence. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he travelled. So, as it stands, you've proved nothing. Hold on a minute, is the metal piece that's going to be in there actually going to be the tip of his sword? And I gave that to him, so he's the one that actually killed Gregson? Or something? Oh my god. We have to tell him to take out his sword and show us the tip. I recommend doing the last escapade once the trial portion ends and save the best investigation for next time. Oh, okay. Susanna wants a happy phrase. What should I give her? It's takedown time. Ice cream. I don't know. Are you challenging me to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt? That you were there that day? In the same place as the inspector? He was there with Gregson. There's a clue that you've overlooked. A secret that the trunk can tell us. I can't be sure at this point. I need to verify it. But I have a nasty feeling that I'm gonna be right. The accusation made is deeply disturbing. But nevertheless, we must test it. The defense will identify the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. Where is the evidence that ties Prosecutor Sogi to the Inspector Gregson? Oh, well, I've got to open it first. Let's have a look inside. Woo!
Got it!
Got it! There's a small piece of metal lodged in the wall of the trunk here, like the tip of a blade. Eh? A blade? Kazuma slung around your waist as ever today is the steamed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it here in this courtroom for all to see? Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Bailiff! Watch Professor Sogi like a hawk. I keep calling Professor, it's Prosecutor! Prosecutor! That won't be necessary. It is broken. Oh no. The tip is broken. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed, Kazuma Sogi. Last investigation, did you talk about Karuma von Karma connection? Huh? I don't think so. Expertly done, Ryunosuke. That's a point to you, and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Osogi? Yes, on the 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was... Oh, sorry. And the mission was... the assassination of the Mark. What? You mean you're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? You were following the Reaper's orders to dispatch Judge Gagoku? And let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I made him a lot angrier in that voice. By accident. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk. But I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. You were never going to do it. Oh, yeah, that. We did have that, yes. Karuma is the Japanese name for Von Karma. Oh! Now that you say that, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Because it's like Karuma, Karma. We can believe Kazuma-sama, I'm sure. After all, Judge Gagoku arrived safely in London the following day. On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We travelled to Dover, from where we crossed the Channel to Dunkirk. When we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan... You went to Judge Gagoku's cabin? Exactly. He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, but... But you already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life. So I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. A boarding house? In Dunkirk? My signature will be in the register book. It would be simple enough to verify. Then, what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, so the mark was spared. I'm sure it was easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger. Isn't this hair different here? And end his wretched agent's life. Throughout the years of doing all the service, he would kill him for one failed attempt. That's the real truth behind Inspector Gregson's murder.
Objection!
But if you did nothing as you claim, how did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? I don't need to answer that. Yeah, you do. The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of the blade isn't relevant to the case. And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. Which is basically saying you admit to that. Or something, like you admit that you tried to kill him or something. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. You've lost it. As you wish, my lord. The great sword Karuma has been entered into the court record. You know, I noticed that I was going to say, it never had this bandana on it anymore. Like, since he took it back, he's taken that off. Right, I need to have a look at this sword. Karuma, the Great Blade. It's such a thing of beauty, I want to gaze on it for hours. I didn't want to take it off, I wanted to look at the thing, but I guess that'll work. The tip of the great sword. Broken. It's such a shame. It's been so meticulously cared for over the years. I can almost hear Karuma's sobs. Kazuma must have really taken a swing for that to happen. If only we had luminol, we could test for blood. Anything in the inside? No. There's no real thing on the hilt that I can see. I guess it's just the tip. Yeah, because Barak would totally do that. I know I'm one of the bats in his office. We must take immediate action now to verify whether Seishiro Jigoku remains unharmed. What? Remains unharmed? I agree, and that should be our first priority. It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday. How did you... When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of his safety should arise. You don't mean to say that you think Judge Gigoku may have been killed? The Reaper has more than one assassin at his disposal, and he has the power and influence to give orders from the inside of a prison cell. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zeeks? If I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you. Order! Order in the court! Order! We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now? Guests of the symposium must have been told to remain in regular contact with the organizer's office. If the man can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst. Oh no, not Judge Gigoku. No one would want to kill a harmless Japanese man who had only just arrived in the country. Except, that is, for the Reaper wanting to finish off a mark that slipped through the net 10 years ago, or a thief, or a random street guy in London. Everyone carries knives, you know. I would have to agree, Mr. Naruhodo, for the defense's sake. My lord? I sincerely hope we are successful. If we are unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in 30 minutes, you will face grave difficulties. Why? I didn't do anything. Court is adjourned for 30 minutes. Why would we be having difficulties? I mean, I guess because he's the one that pushed us to be here, but still. Weird. Kazuma-sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare. I can hardly believe it either, but on the other hand, Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories. I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Judge Gigoku, then I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control. I felt it from the moment I stepped into the courthouse this morning. That strange sensation that we were careering towards a foreign or foregone conclusion. Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do about wait now. We're out of options. Actually, there may be one last hand we can play. Or rather, one last ear. Of course. The little Mr. Shomesdale that Iris gave us. Oh my god, am I really gonna... Fine! If for some reason you're completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. Just take a second to listen to this song. Perhaps now is the time. What should I do? Pull Harley's ears or not? Well, I kind of have to. Here goes then. I'm gonna do it. Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo. No looking back. Heave! He just like rips them off. Ow! The screams sound like Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? Where are you? Here, my dear fellow, here. It's the felt doll talking. Pull the ears again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can. Alright then, I'll pull all my strength into it. Heave! Ow! They're actually moving? Please don't, my dear fellows. You don't need to pull my ear off. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Well, that's just sad of saying this, but yes. Myself and my trusty partner are presently in the first-class cabin area of the SS Grouse. The SS Grouse? She left Dover last night after the final piece of cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump to the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time. So, you mean you've already worked it out? That the steamship was there where everything really took place? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Herlock Sholmes, world-famous great detective. Recited to perfection, well done. You're a genius, Mr. Sholmes, that's the only word for it. Ow. Miss Susato, gently with the genius's ear, please. Oh my, I'm ever so sorry. If I may, Sholmes. Ah, there you are, Mikotoba. You may remember that it was in fact I who made the connection to the SS Grouse. At Scotland Yard yesterday, when we examined that notebook and I recalled my steamship ticket. But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert the fact. I merely had our court-bound companions utter my name. I don't think this can be continued. Just go to the escapade now. You can't tell me what to do. I'm going to keep going. Yes, you did, didn't you? We've just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now. And if we're able to present any new leads, I'm afraid to say... Oh, do not fret, please. It is for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt we shall have welcome news for you within half the hour. Well, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Until later, then. Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Oh. I should be hearing everything if you keep tugging my ear in this mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operate in that way in the first place, Sholmes? Why the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine. Right, let's save, because a lot's been going on. If there is more... find the resolve. Yes, save. Oh, wow, it does go straight into the investigation. An hour and 35 minutes. We still have 30 minutes. Are you sure you just want me to end it there and save this for next time? I mean, yeah, we have an escapade left, but I don't know if that's going to be long enough. Because this would be a great place to stop, like here. Because it's then like, we're now in the investigation, and we can pick this up next time, and then this will be like this. I was waiting for chat to, like, catch up. I really wish YouTube chat was a bit more, you know, snappier. Like with Twitch, it's almost like an immediate response. For some reason, YouTube has this weird, like, delay of, like, 15 seconds or something. Even though I've put it onto the setting of, like, ensure that you have immediate responses. Okay, I guess if everyone's saying to do the escapade, I guess we can do that instead. So we will stop there. Go back to title and do the last escapade. We just saved, but I'll save again. Whoa. Alright. Special contents. Escapades. In the Bailey. The escapade takes place in the Old Bailey courtroom where the defendant is none other than Sholmes himself, and the charge is the most mysterious murder. Mionowski naturally advocates for the defense against the unflappable Reaper, Lord Van Zieks, but Sholmes' testimony calls the true culprit of the crime into question. Next stream will be Peak. Okay. Date unknown. A mystery is afoot. Hello, Gino. The Old Bailey courtroom. What have you done now, Sholmes? Oh, Gregson, he's still alive. Oh, I've got to bring back Cottonmouth.
The trial is now in session for the trial of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. This is the most extraordinary case of murder. Counsels, I assume I may proceed.
Yes, my lord. The defense is ready. At your discretion, my lord.
Very well. I hereby call on the prosecution to introduce the case.
The incident in question took place 2 days ago late at night when the ground was blanketed in snow. The location of the incident was the residence of the accused, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Indeed. The now famous address of number 221 Baker Street, was it?
The address may have enjoyed fame once, my lord, but will henceforth endure infamy for this grim crime.
Yes, sir. Well put. The victim, a certain Madame Rosie, was found asphyxiated on the accused sofa. My word.
Objection.
But it's unclear as to whether the victim was actually killed in the defendant's suite or not. After all, when Mr. Sholmes left the room for only a brief moment, Madame Rosie somehow vanished herself out of his room completely.
Vanished herself, counsel? Or the victim?
Quite true, my lord, but there is one adjoining door between my drawing room and the kitchen. Yet, having brewed some tea in the kitchen, I returned to find the room completely empty.
There was nobody else present.
Ordinarily, my fellow lodger, Iris, would have been at home. However, on the day in question, she had been invited to a meeting of a scientific society in the city. A 10-year-old was invited to a scientific society? Okay.
I'm afraid you'll have the propensity for exaggeration, sir. You claim the victim vanished herself, but really? It seems to be entirely plausible that she chose to leave via the main entrance to your suite.
As it happens, my lord, the door to the accused room was locked at the time. From the inside, Sunshine. Very true, Inspector. As such, I can say with considerable surety that the victim did not leave via my front door. But what about, yes. She could have snuck out through the window.
Objection!
The windows in the room were not locked, it's true. And the victim had the opportunity, however.
However, there was snow all around the building outside, and not a patch of it had been disturbed.
Would my learned friend came to explain how the victim could have left without leaving a trail?
So the victim, Madame Rosie, somehow vanished from the scene before she was killed.
And naturally, I was alarmed by the sudden disappearance of my guest. So I summoned this gentleman who resides in the attic room above my own, and who took a cab to Scotland Yard. I can confirm the defendant called for me, and I saw his suite on my way downstairs. And yes, I'm quite sure it was empty, just as Mr. Sholmes had said. When we reached the yard, the very detective happened to be there.
Well, yes, you see, I was just in my office for a while, having gotten back from some, important business, after killing people.
And then, having explained the situation to the inspector, we travelled back to Baker Street together. At that time, there were no footprints in the snow around the building other than the ones we've made.
Do I take it then, Counsel, that you personally witnessed the scene where the incident took place?
No, my lord. I went straight up to my bed, to my own room in the attic. Inspector Gregson, however, was met with a most blood-curdling sight. One Mr. Sholmes' sofa, the vanished Madame Rosie, motionless.
So the victim was already dead when you discovered her, Inspector?
No, my lord, not dead. Not far off it. She mustered all her remaining strength to say these dying words. That rotter, Sholmes, will be the death of me. Ah, yes, I overheard the remark at the time, too, delivered in a rasping voice full of malice. No. Those words indeed proved to be her last, the victim inspired moments later, there on the sofa. The cause of death was identified as damage to the respiratory tract as a result of strangulation. It was the guy from the first case where he strangled himself with his neck scarf. No, not the first case. It's the first case of the second game, is what I meant to say. Pray, does the accused dare to contest the inspector's account? Certainly not. In fact, the inspector has done an unusually fine job of summarizing the salient points.
Sholmes will be the death of me. A damning departing words indeed.
In her final moments, the victim named her killer. You, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Objection!
But the defendant had no reason to take the victim's life. Perhaps you could tell the court, Mr. Sholmes, who exactly this Madame Rosie was. Ah, yes, of course. Did I never mention her to you? I'll extend an invitation to her that evening, though she is loquacious in the extremes. The most trivial of matters quickly become a quarrel. There was only too pleased to leave her presence to make tea. Gray. It would appear, then, that the accused did in fact have a motive for silence her as a restricted guest permanently.
Objection!
Putting that tenuous motive aside, what about the other mysteries surrounding the case?
I'm inclined to agree with the defense. There remains a number of inscrutable details. The victim's alleged disappearance and subsequent reappearance, leaving no trail of footprints, for example.
That's right, the crime described in the prosecution could never have happened. Yet the victim named the accused in her dying breath. It seems to me that my learned friend had overlooked a significant detail here. You posted it as a short? What? Nonsense. What have I overlooked? The man in the dock, the so-called great detective, all too frequently makes the following bold claim. There is no crime beyond the realms of possibility, no mystery beyond my powers of reasoning. So, Mr. Sholmes, you will have no difficulty in explaining how the crime thus described could have taken place. Therefore, I propose a toast to the great detective's upholding his name. But of course, were I to put my mind to the matter, the crime would immediately appear to be all present to be false, entirely feasible. Please, Mr. Sholmes, whose side are you on? All you need to say is no. Even I can't think of a way that a crime like that could have been committed. Let the accused's admission be noted by the court. Though the crime may appear impossible to us mortals of inferior mental capacity, this man alone claims to know exactly how it was done.
Hold it!
Now hold on, that's a very fragile argument.
Thank you, Counsel. I believe I've heard more than enough to proceed to my adjudication. The accused great detective did, in some inscrutable manner, willfully murder the victim, Madame Rosie. I therefore find the defendant...
No! I didn't get to present evidence or anything.
Let this man be taken from this courtroom and in some equally inscrutable manner be sanctioned for his crimes. Court is adjourned.
Hold it!
My lord, please. The truth about the mysteries surrounding this case are known to none other besides the great detective. Or to another besides the great detective. What's this? Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you are coming along wonderfully. He said this in the main game. You deduced a fundamental truth about this case, I believe. Which would be, detective? That the truth of this case is unknown. Only to the true culprit, obviously. Is that not so, Gregson? What? Well, I suppose, yes. You don't mean... Are you suggesting, Mr. Sholmes, that you have an idea as to what actually happened that night? An idea? My dear fellow. I could explain the entire incident from start to finish with not a single detail omitted.
Objection!
Gregson going like, what? With his hands. It seems the detective has failed to grasp the situation. Pray, Mr. Reaper, which of us has truly failed to grasp the situation, I wonder? Then answer me this. You claim that prior to the incident, the victim was suddenly vanished without a trace from your room. If so, how exactly did Madame Rosie disappear? Why, naturally, via the window. It was ajar, after all. But that can't be. The room is the whole story above street level, and anyway, no prints were found in the snow. There are many a number of ways one could avoid leaving tracks in the snow, surely. Such as? Flying, for instance. A fatuous notion. And to where do you propose the victim flew, Mr. Sholmes? Is it not entirely plain? To the culprit's abode, of course. For having left my suite, that is clearly where Madame Rosie was murdered. Take a moment to consider the cruel irony, if you will. By her own volition, she flew directly to her death.
Objection!
Do you forget, detective? The victim's corpse was discovered on your own sofa. And no doubt because her killer carried her back there. But what about the lack of footprints in the snow again, then? They just weren't any. Other than your own, or our own, from when we returned home ourselves. If by our own footprints you refer to your own and mine, you are quite right, but there were those of another. On the night in question, there was one other person who could have conveyed the victim to my sofa. What?
Good gracious. To whom do you refer to, sir?
A man whose somewhat unrevealing presence at the scene of the crime would be questioned by no one. Unavailing? You didn't mean... Indeed, I do. A man who's hastened to the scene directly upon learning of the incident at Scotland Yard. Namely... you, Inspector Gregson. When you arrived at my address on Baker Street, you were carrying the half-dead Madame Rosie with you. You were waiting for a suitable opportunity and then laid the victim on my sofa.
He did what? We did what?
Objection!
But we were with the inspector when he arrived. How could he possibly have been carrying the victim? We would have noticed. My dear fellow, a most obvious answer presents itself, does it not? The inspector is rarely, if ever, without his overcoat. The victim was simply conveyed in one of his many pockets. Huh? Wait, is Madame Rosie a toy? I fail to see what makes the detective great, but I can say one thing with great certainty. A human body cannot fit into the pocket of an overcoat. I believe you may all have fallen afoul of a rather significant misrepresentation. What? Madame Rosie was not a human.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Something troubles you, perhaps? Whatever gives you that idea? Exactly what sort of creature was Madame Rosie? Is it not apparent already? A parakeet, of course. Huh? A most self-conceited specimen, in fact. I was way off the mark. It's another bird. What is with this series of birds?
A parakeet? She was an incessant talker, I must say. Her manner was quite intolerable at times. Wont to even turn every conversation to a quarrel, I thought to strangle the creature on more than one occasion.
You had a quarrel with a parakeet?
But of course, why else would she have chosen to fly from my window so cordially that evening? To the abode of Inspector here beside me, no less.
To Inspector Gregson's abode? But why?
Because that was the parakeet's home, naturally. What are you... The inspector was called away from town for some time, so it was arranged that I would look after the bird. But it would appear that she was overcome with a sudden yearning for her keeper, and thus prompting her flight from my comfortable suite to the inspector's office at Scotland Yard. Well, and Gregson, I believe it's high time you explained. Give us your account of what happened that night, sparing no details, of course.
Not even a goose or something, just a bird. Inspector Gregson?
It was an accident. I got back from being away that evening, you see. I just walked through the door of my office. I never imagined Madame Rosie would be here on her way back to the yard as well. I slammed the door shut behind me just as she was trying to fly through it.
So, Madame Rosie...
She got sandwiched between the doorway and the frame and fell to the floor. Never to move again. Because of me. Well, I never. I had to do something. That's just when I was trying to think of a plan. You fellas arrived talking about some incident at Baker Street. I had to hide Madame Rosie in a hurry. So I stuffed her in my coat pocket and we got into the cab with the pair of you.
We're wasting everyone's court's time about this.
What could possibly have motivated you to behave in such a manner, Inspector?
Lord Strongheart, sir.
Lord Strongheart?
Please tell me I didn't hear that right.
It was Lord Chief Justice who asked me to look after the bird in the first place. She'd been living with the pigeons at the Supreme Court until then. But apparently the other birds had started to pick on her. So for the past 6 months or so, I've been caring for her in the office of my yard, at the yard. I see.
Make sure to pay attention to Barrack when location switch. I'll try.
If anything happened to that bird, just imagine. No pay and no time off for the rest of my career. You mark my words, that's what's going to happen. That's why well... But the victim's dying words, Inspector. The court heard earlier that Madame Rosie spoke to her assailant on her deathbed.
That rotter, Sholmes, will be the death of me. Damn hiccups.
Indeed she did, quite uncalled for, wouldn't you agree? But those words are your true feelings, are they not, Inspector? Ugh. Clearly you speak of me often at your office at the yard, in this disparaging manner. A manner that the Mary Packerty took too much delight in mimicking. Well, come on! I mean, have you read this month's edition of Rats Magazine? I'm... sorry! This is all absolutely true?
Ah, I'm going blind.
Oh, what? Something wrong, Lord Anziques? No, nothing. I almost drifted off for a moment there.
That was a dream. That was all a dream. Oh my god, I hate dream stories, but that was funny.
It's hard not to drift off when you've been kept waiting 3 hours already. I wonder if we'll manage to meet Lord Strongheart at all today. We may have to deliver the report on Windybank case that he asked for another day. Tell me, Inspector, what became of that bird? Madame Rosie, you mean? She had a narrow escape, but she's still alive. I delivered her back not long ago, actually. on Lord Strongheart's orders. He's hoping the Persian will accept her to now. It was something of a shock to hear that she'd been crushed in the doorway of your office. Especially as we were all under the misapprehension that Madame Rosie was a person. He's EP. He sure was. He sure was. Balroth. Oh, sorry about that. It was Lord Strongheart's demand that... Ah, good, you're here. I apologize for my tardiness. I am exactly 3 hours, 24 minutes, and 50 seconds late. Oh, no, my lord. No, please don't trouble yourself. Nothing gives us a greater pleasure than standing here doing nothing for hours on end. Heartening. So, let us hear it then. Your report. The Winterbank trial is concluded, but this is far from over. It seems that dark Far Eastern lawyer and I have some shared destiny. We will meet again, of that I've no doubt. Did you see that, Lord Van Zeeks? Did you? Madame Rosie went flying off with the pigeons there. Happy as Larry. I said happy as Larry, which is not how you say that. She was? Really, Inspector, you must be relieved. I wish I had a big-ass cake to curl up in. Yeah, it'd be cool. Be like, I'm cold. Just wraps cape around self. Oh, achievement. From completion of all the extra escapade adventures. Woo! And that is that for today. Has that been at least an hour? Almost, actually. Alright then. That is where we'll end this for today. We shall pick this up next week. We got no more escapades to do, so we can focus purely on the story, which probably what we've been doing anyway. But we shall pick this up next week, Tuesday. We will be continuing on and playing as Holmes, I guess. Sholmes. Not Holmes, Sholmes. And we shall be seeing what happens with them in the SS Grouse. They said Guria. Too many boat names. But I'll be back tomorrow with Death Stranding, so look forward to that. As usual. So, you know, hope you all shut up for that if you want to watch it. It's kind of fun in its own way, but yeah. I'll be back with this next week, Tuesday, so until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, be sure to do the bell notifications, all that stuff, so you know when our next stream. If you want to help support me, there's links to Patreon and tips too in the description or at the bottom of the video. And if you do become a patron, you get invited to the patron list here, where I give you a shout out of every stream, like I do with Hiro Kuni, the Soulmaster 37, and Refleton 2000. I thank you for the continued support, and I greatly appreciate you all. And yeah, we enter a dream and find out that nothing actually happened. The Reaper never got convicted of murder. Gregson is still alive. Nothing bad ever happened. But yeah, we shall be back next week with this. Tomorrow I'll be back with Death Stranding, so look forward to that. So until then, you all take care. Have a nice rest of the day. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone. Bye, Matt Bonito. Bye, Baloroth. Bye, Rapatron. Bye, everyone else who is still here. See you next time.